there's one thing I can say as a horror kid growing up in the 90s, it's that Goosebumps, along with Courage the Cowardly Dog, and whatever non-age appropriate horror movie I came into contact with, was my gateway drug. But there was something about Goosebumps that attracted its viewers. I even went so far as to collect the trading cards, if you can remember those. Be it the aesthetics, the vibes, the theme song, or the multi-genre anthology nature of it all, Goosebumps had something for everybody. And among the many episodes in this series, there are a few that stand out to be the all-time greats. But one I don't see get talked about at all is Werewolf Skin. Until today. Werewolf Skin starts off like a very traditional horror tale. A foreigner, Alex, ventures to a strange town. Strict rules about going out after dark, and townsfolk that are obsessed with superstitions that are seen as archaic. Alex plays the role of the non-believer of such things, but is soon thrust into a fight for his family and friends at the hands of the werewolf legend. Some of RL Stine's best works involve the horror one faces when they have to fight for their family, their friends, or themselves. In this case, Alex must fight not only for his life and his family, but an entire town. Now that I've made that clear, we're going to take a look back in time and explore the historical aspect of the werewolf, along with how RL Stine handles his child characters, so we can fully understand why a tale such as this is so unique. The more popular ideas of the werewolf actually stemmed from the 1941 classic, The Wolfman, a story about a man who's bitten by a beast and must struggle to overcome his curse and set himself free. The lore and rules about silver bullets, the moon, even to a degree being bitten, were all created by German immigrant Kurt Siodmak.
Whoever is bitten by a werewolf and lives becomes a werewolf himself.
Kurt Siodmak, who I think is the father of all modern werewolf myths, the full moon, the silver bullet, pentagram in the hand. As far as I know, Kurt Siodmak invented all that.
I look with the eye of a camera when I write for motion pictures. So I invented certain things like the pentagram. Maybe it exists before, I don't know.
The result of Kurt's contribution to horror in the 1940s was that Hollywood made up its own rules about werewolves and the lore surrounding the legends. But the very idea of werewolves stretches back to early man, where they believed that humans had the power to shapeshift into different animals. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and the belief that humans could transform into different animals was still very much in full effect. But it wasn't just limited to wolves. In Lapland, you had were-reindeer. South America had were-possums, and Japan had their very own were-wildcats. Now you're probably wondering what any of this has to do with R.L. Stine's Werewolf Skin. Well, first off, its historic undertones are in the title itself. In the past, people started to believe that donning the skin of an animal was one way of becoming that creature. And you can see how everyone has their own rendition of how to gain power from animals. But the very people who took this belief to heart were Vikings. Vikings would don the skin of bears before battle, and they were called Barsark, but we know this term today as berserk.
What the word really means in the ancient language is the men in bear shirts. What the berserkers would do is they put on these bearskin shirts and feel that they had been in some way magically imbued with the courage, the strength, the ferocity of a bear. They were very much feared, and they were known to be completely out of, they were out of control. They were no longer human.
R.L. Stine pulls from some of the more historical and lesser-known werewolf lore, while at the same time debunking the Hollywood lore that we've come to know to tell his tale. RL Stine allows his child characters to grow and evolve as the story progresses. He challenges the lies his characters believe, and in this case, Alex, being from the city, has seen it all and feels as though he knows it all, until his world and the viewers is turned on its head when his idea of what goes into becoming a werewolf comes crashing down.
Do you believe the legend, Sean?
Some of it. Like if someone is bit by a werewolf, they'll be cursed. And when the moon is full, they'll turn into a werewolf too.
Yeah.
Werewolf.
And you can only kill him with a silver bullet, right?
That's the part of the legend that's not true. What really happens is when the sun rises, the werewolf sheds its skin. And if someone finds the skin and destroys it before the next full moon is at its highest point, the curse is over. And the werewolf inside the person dies.
Yeah. Dies. Where did you hear that legend, Sean?
Around. If you live in Wolf Creek long enough, you hear lots of things.
When Alex realizes the legends are real, he becomes a much more proactive character as the story progresses. What I enjoy a lot about this particular story is that RL Stine allows for Alex to hold a lot of responsibility, especially when he realizes that the cause of the werewolf sightings and the dangers that he faces stem from the very people that he loves.
What if it was true? What if there really was a werewolf and it was someone you knew? What would you do?
Well, I don't know. But we're never going to have to find out about that, are we? And werewolves are just legends, aren't they?
Well, I gotta go. My aunt's making pizza waffles and she hates it when I'm late.
Alex, be very careful. Sometimes legends bite.
The pressure is put on Alex even more when he now must do the unthinkable and destroy the addictive power of the werewolf skin before it's too late and his aunt and uncle are taken by the curse. Alex is a photographer after all, who wants to expose things to the world. And maybe this could be seen as a metaphor for children being the ones to break toxic generational curses. The poisoning of innocence that happens when a child begins to understand that the world their parents tried to keep from getting a hold of them has taken a hold of their parents. And sometimes it's up to them to save their family. Or maybe it's just about monsters.
Do what you're told!
This isn't your conventional werewolf tale. There are no silver bullets or mark of the beast, and no one gets bitten and transforms under the pale moonlight. While many werewolf tales deal in a person dealing with the transformation of himself and the weight of his curse, and the more Hollywood ideas surrounding werewolves, Werewolf Skin takes the more historically occult approach, while at the same time dealing with the corruption of a family, a boy who's an outsider to that corruption, and the lengths he goes to save the people he loves from Werewolf Skin.
I hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope you weren't too scared. Remember, there's no such thing as a werewolf. Time for me to say goodbye. Have a scary night, everyone.